Good afternoon. This webinar offers closed captioning. To enable closed captioning, click on the live transcript button on the bottom of your screen and choose your preferred method. Welcome to the City of Chicago Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection, BACP, webinar. We have adapted our regular business education workshops at City Hall into these webinars until further notice. Please note any website or email that I mentioned will be posted in the chat box. For those seeking business licensing assistance, we strongly encourage the processing of licenses and permits online. Business licenses can be applied for or renewed online at chicagobusinessdirect.org, or you can call 312-74-GO-BIZ. If you are part of the BACP Entrepreneur Certificate Program, you can get credit for joining this webinar by sending an email to bacpoutreach@cityofchicago.org. If you want to learn more about the program, please visit chicago.gov/business education. Also, this webinar is being recorded and will be available at youtube.com/Chicago BACP. I will post the mentioned information in the chat box. We encourage attendees to ask questions. Please use a chat box to send your questions. There will be a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Please note that the views, information, and opinions expressed during this webinar are solely those of the presenter and do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of the Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection or the City of Chicago. Today's webinar will be Recruiting, Hiring, and Motivating Great Employees, a bridge to a successful business. Now I'm going to turn it over to Hannah Fernandez, Chapter Chair of SCORE Chicago.
Thank you so much, Geraldine and the BACP team. We greatly appreciate our continued partnership and collaboration with you. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our webinar 1 of our HR series. My name is Hannah Fernandez, and I'm the chapter chair of SCORE Chicago. SCORE has been around as a resource partner of the SBA since 1964, providing free and also confidential business mentoring for business owners across the country. So whether you are a new entrepreneur or you've been in business for a long time, our SCORE mentors could help you start, grow, and scale your businesses. To schedule an appointment with our mentors, go to our website at chicago.score.org. Now I'd like to introduce our presenter. Alfonso Barrera is the founder of Hispanic Pro, the Hispanic Professional Network. Hispanic Pro is the largest network of Hispanic professionals in the United States. It exists to promote business networking and employment opportunities for diverse professionals by becoming the largest producer of professional development events for minorities in Illinois. Hispanic Pro has become a valuable resource for the Latino business community and the multicultural workforce in Illinois, Wisconsin, California, Florida, and other states. Alfonso is a highly visible advocate for Latino entrepreneurship, corporate diversity, and a proud supporter of some of Chicago's most prominent philanthropic organizations. Alfonso has been recognized throughout the years with awards for numerous leadership and volunteerism achievements. He is the Vice Chair of Diversity and Inclusion on the Executive Board of SCORE Chicago. He is a DI Ambassador and Chair Emeritus of the National Latino Education Institute, NLEI, Emerging Leaders Board. Alfonso, you're on.
Thank you, Hannah. I'm blushing over here with that introduction, so thank you very much. And I'm happy to be here with everyone this afternoon to talk about recruitment. And recruitment is something that is it's crucial for small businesses and big corporations. The only difference is for a small business, you might be employee number 1. So this might pertain to you hiring employee number 2 in your organization and beyond. And we all hope at SCORE and at the SBA and at BACP that that's the case, that you will be hiring beyond yourself and that your enterprise is going to grow and prosper. So let's begin. If you think it's expensive to hire a professional, wait until you hire an amateur. This is classic because so many small businesses try to go for lowest price in everything, and that's not a bad thing. But when it comes to hiring, sometimes spending more money is gonna you're gonna come out ahead. And I'll give you the example why. First, the top 5 reasons why businesses fail: bad customer relations, lack of staff training, which is big, probably before bad customer relations, bad budgeting, failure to anticipate trends, poor and inconsistent sales and marketing. So all of these tie in together, but definitely tie in together when it comes to hiring your workforce and for you and your employees to be on the same page in regards to your services, your products, and also the type of service that you want to provide to your customers, right? What is that image that you are relaying to the customers that could come and shop to your store, that come and shop on your online presence? So it's all important and it's all interrelated. What can a bad hire cost? So here's the example that I was talking about. One employee making $60,000 annually, it costs the company 6 to 9 months of an employee's salary to replace him or her. So that cost can be $30,000 to $45,000. It's and this is from the Society of Human Resource Managers. So that's a pretty expensive cost when it comes to hiring the bad person or hiring the right person. So the costs that are involved in hiring one employee: there's the cost of person handling the job search, and that can be internal or external, depending on which route you wish to take. And there's pros and cons to each one. Ad costs, because people need to hear that you are recruiting. And if you're a small business, that's more important. That's more important than anything, is for folks to know that you are recruiting, that you are looking to hire, and that might have to come across through a post. You may not be big enough where the word of mouth could help you out. So in which case, this will be an added expense. Reviewing resumes, that's also something that someone's going to have to do. And whether it can be someone internally, it might be you if you're a small business owner. There's software, obviously, that helps do this, but you might be the one person who will be reviewing all the resumes that are coming through. Prep time for phone calls and call screenings. And this is important because this time that you dedicate to hiring an employee, and you're just prepping for it. It's time that you're taking away from your business. So time is money, and also it's relevant when it comes to your business. This is time that you're going to be taking away from investing it into your business, but investing it into the future of hiring someone that will make your workload easier, but at the same time will help you tackle other areas of your business to improve and grow your revenue. Face-to-face interviews. So that's another thing, is scheduling the time to meet people in person, whether it's at your workplace or maybe at a cafe or somewhere where there'll be less distractions. Another thing that's it'll take up time. And checking references. So there's gonna a lot of time dedicated to this, checking references. And this is something that also takes time, because if you if you outsource the check-in reference duty, then some of the companies that do it, it takes, some of them, if they're fast, it'll take 3 days, but many take 5 days to 2 weeks. And then the follow-up phone calls, of course, of letting the person know that they received the job, but also follow up when it comes to email. I think that's important. And I think that there's a way of letting people know that if they got the job or they did not get the job, that you let them know. I think it's courteous to do so, and also reflects on your business, because that person might become a customer of your business. They just didn't get the job at your business, but that doesn't mean that that's someone that won't come in and spend money at your store. And then one of the biggest costs is training, because you want someone to understand your company culture, the programs that you have in place, that you use software for sales, but also to understand how you want your customers to be treated when you're not on the floor. So this is important, and unfortunately, it's something that takes time and money. But you're doing this in the hopes that this employee is going to turn out to be a great employee, a great advocate of your business, and in which case you'll recoup that money and then some. And ultimately, everyone wants to solve the bad hire puzzle, right? And how do you do that? You hire happy people. Hiring happy people is contagious and it spreads through your organization. But before you get here, there's probably about 28 other sites that we have to go through. But ultimately, this is where we want to be, is to hire happy people that are happy to show up at your workplace, that are happy to talk to your customers, and that are sharing in with you in the excitement of you owning the business and wanting to be that person that represents your company, and bring in those sales, because ultimately it's all about sales. So what job applicants consider important? You'll be surprised because you always think that pay is on the top, but this is also not the case. Career advancement is really on the top of people who are looking to do something, to look into more than just a job, but they're looking for a career or they're looking for investment. Obviously, if you're a small business, there's not a lot of leeway of where to go in the organization, but that's not to say that won't change. And this might be the person that's going to help you do that, help your business grow, and so that then there's flexibility and there's upward mobility. So the connection with the company, that's important. Conditions, family needs, and that's for you to know upfront as an employer, and this is obviously something that you can't ask, but if the potential employee discloses this, the needs that they have, and that could be a flexible job schedule. It could be anything that has to do with providing that employee flexibility. So perhaps maybe a hybrid type of work schedule, so they can work from home, but also come in a couple of days of the week. If your company is set up to do that, or if you think that it's not, but it could be, it might be something to explore if that new potential employee is if you feel that they're worth it and they would be an asset to your company. Career opportunities goes back to what I said to the point before in the very first point about career advancement, but also they are looking to see that they're going to pick up skills and training that unfortunately, they may see themselves in the next year or 2 years working for another company. And I think that's just the case that is now. The days of the boomers where you could work for a company for 15 or 20, 25 years, that's out the door. Even Gen Xers, and I'm in that group, we still held on to some of that, and that's out the door. That's not, and I think the quicker you change your thinking about employment and workforce and what is needed to be an asset to a company, the better off you will be. So that might be something that also, if you are a boomer or you are a Gen Xer and you're looking for career opportunities, is to have that in mind, that to think of that you're not going to go and apply for somewhere and think necessarily I'm going to work for them for 20 years, but think 2 to 3 years, pick up some skills so I can upskill and then move on to the next employer who might provide you with that opportunity that you're looking for, with better pay but always looking forward. So thinking about the short game is not necessarily a bad thing in these days. Job security. Job security is essential when it comes to the responsibilities that that person has, but it comes with a grain of salt, because I think, and there's plenty of studies that show that someone's looking to leave your company as soon as you hire them. And that's just the case because, the newer generations, they're always looking. And that's not a bad thing, because then it's up to you as an employer to want to keep those people employed at your company, and to always show them how great it is to work for you, but also give them some skin in the game. And that can be pay, because pay and benefits, are big, and obviously they are influential when it comes to recruiting and also keeping employees, and also management and the supervisors. So that also says a lot about the companies and the people who that you're going to eventually have to report to. You know, are they pleasant people? Are they nice people? Do they treat customers correctly? Do they treat them nice? That's something that's going to reflect on the way that the future employees that you hire, how they're going to treat your customers. So I think you first have to have your ducks in a row, the ones that are in a position to make decisions when you're not in the room and when you're not on site. So having a management that is competent, that can resolve issues when you're not around, and supervisors also that are great with employees, and you make it feel like a team environment. And I think those are the workplaces. And well, I know from reading and researching that these are the places that people want to work at, and you want your place of employment to be that type of place. And then a worthwhile job title. There's a reason why the people that work at the Apple Store, why they call them genius, and there's a reason for that. Because when someone has that title of genius, it's like, wow, you know, beyond fixing they're going to fix your phone or your laptop. They have this sense of accomplishment, right? They feel good about themselves. So definitely the job title means a lot to people. So give them a job title that is dignified, and at the same time, it's something where they can feel that, you know, when they're out and about, and you know, they're happy to say that they have this job title and they work for you. The training is essential, because that is something that they're building for when they're there working for you, but also something that they would they will keep it in their tool bag of things that they've learned throughout their career and use. You know, we all want to wish that we have a great employee that stays with us forever, but that's seldom the case. But these are skills that they will take on to the next place, to the next employer. And then again, what I had talked about, the hybrid schedules, flexible hours, those are the things that job applicants consider important. So you always think that pay is the one thing as an employer, because we're always looking at costs, but you'll be surprised that it's not that it's not high on a priority list, but definitely career advancement, that's key. And if not number one, if not number one, definitely number two. So employees are always on the move. Current trends on changing jobs. So 66% of new hires look for another job within 3 months. That's as a small business, that's kind of scary to ponder, right? Because you're investing all this money of searching for that person, and then the training, and then also training on the job, and then for you to think that person is thinking of moving on. That's just the case. That's how it is now in today. And but then there's obviously things that you can counteract, like having a great place to work at, a great environment, people that are friendly and polite, and just a workplace that people are happy to go and show up and be there for 7 or 8 hours and put their best foot forward. So 33% of workers are always looking, and so that's just always the case. And like I mentioned before, there's a lot of things that an employer can do to counteract that, and we'll talk about that a little bit further on. Percentage of workers by age group looking for a new job. So boomers, 11%, and that's a low number, mainly because these are folks that already heading into retirement, if not retired, but also if they're lucky, they're still at, and I meet a lot of these folks in what I do with my company. There's still companies out there that are loyal to their employees, and will keep them on and keep them challenged for 25 to 30 years until they retire. Gen X, 27%, Millennials, 35%, and Gen Z, 44%. So as you see, as the workforce gets younger, that thought of mobility and getting new experiences, but also moving on to a new employer, it's more relevant to them. And the number one reason that they're looking for to move on is for lack of career advancement opportunities. So number one, the first point that I had mentioned on the previous slide, that's really what it is they're looking to grow, and people are looking to grow at a faster pace because they know that they might have, the life is different now than it was, even 10 or 15, 20 years, where we make life choices where, our career is mobile with us to whatever part of the country we move to, or to another part of the world. That's the type of work environment that we have now. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about hiring and managing millennials, just because they are the largest workforce that's out there today. So the number of millennials in the workforce is 56 million. This generation represents 35% of the total U.S. labor force. Currently, they are the largest working generation, but not far behind are the Gen Xers, and I had mentioned that myself. I'm one of those. So, and there are 53 million Gen Xers in the U.S. workforce. But again, those more than likely, the person that's going to be applying for an open position will be someone that is part of this workforce of one of these generations. So important to look at and to study their demographics and why they choose to do the things they do, because that way you can adapt the job ads and the requirements to what they have to provide, but also the experiences that those generations have lived through. So hiring and managing millennials, they want feedback in real time. So they no semi or annual reviews. I think that died with the boomer age, and now we want more feedback in regards to how we are doing, because first of all, we're motivated to do so, but also at the same time, millennials want to know what's going on with their performance, so they can, if there's corrective measures to take, then they'll take care of that. And they're mission driven. So millennials are mission driven, but that doesn't mean that they're not money motivated. So and mission driven is key, because that's one of those tools as an employer that you can use to offset perhaps someone wanting to leave, and it's not because of money, but it's because of the mission of the company, over the things that you do, and there's a place there where you can concentrate on doing corrective measures so that that employee and other employees don't follow on leaving your company. So they want on-the-job training and action-oriented, so no classroom. They don't want to sit in a lecture hall and and have to spend more time after work to go and learn new skills when they can do it when they're on the job. And so that's definitely something that's key, is they can do it on the job, do it while during their normal work hours. Then that's going to be appreciated by your millennial potential new hire. And ultimately, they want your job because they're impatient and they don't want to pay dues. They feel that they've been paying dues as they go along. And if you notice, people that are starting, new businesses, there's a big population of those people that are professionals. There were professionals that worked 10, 15 years at a corporation, and now they want to strike out on their own. So in which case, they want your job in the sense of they want to do what an entrepreneur does. And that's great. But before they do that, they're going to have to learn the process, learn what they have to do. And so that's why sometimes you'll hear that there's people who, probably were 15 or 20 years engineer, but then they're going to go and work at a coffee house. And not necessarily because of the income, but more because they want to learn the process and how is it done. So those are some of the reasons. They are risk averse, seeing parents affected by economy, not comfortable with commission only. So that's a big case, because that's a big thing, because a lot of startups and a lot of businesses that are sales heavy are commission only. So that's something that it's rarely seen now. And those jobs work, those type of careers work if the payoff and the commission is astronomical. It's so high that it's worth this person's time to do it. So, and there are definitely out there, like real estate, so that insurance. So those industries are out there, but again, the payoff has to be big for them. So reward them, reward the millennials. Remember, growing up, they got trophies just for participating, and this is something that it hurts me to say that, right? But it's the truth. It's a generation that they were rewarded for being in the room, but maybe not being the team leader, right? But always find a way to reward your employees. You should be doing that anyway. So, and regardless of the generation they came from, build a relationship. They are looking for strong bonds. They want a mentor. So this is someone that wants a mentor, or they want a sponsor, someone that's going to help them move beyond where they are now. Obviously, this is more for a large corporation, but there's some nuggets of wisdom there and information that I think that also is relevant to entrepreneurs. And listen to them, listen to the suggestions that they have and the input they provide, because this could make your business better. And it's better to learn from your employees so that you can fix these things and then make the shopping experience of your customers a better experience. And all thanks to your employees. One thing that is always important to is who does the hiring in your company. Are they trained to do interviewing? Hiring it's a pretty involved process, and there's a lot to it that's involved, and sometimes the business owner has a lot on their plate, but sometimes they are the one who does it. So, but if they are not, you have to ask the questions. Will the person who's doing the interview and also be the person supervising the applicant? What guidelines have they been given? Consider the inner motivation of the person who is doing the hiring within your company. Do they have the final say? And also, do they need to justify the management the applicant? So how much power that person has who's doing the hiring, it's important, because that way, the closer that you, as the business owner, the closer you work with them, the more in line that new employee that you're expecting to hire will be with the things that you want in your company, and the values of the employee, that the future employee that you're seeking for. 6 ways for good hiring. Identify your star employees. Use their characteristics as a guideline, so you can never go wrong with that. With that piece of advice, hire people for their potential. Don't focus too much on resumes. Hiring people for the potential is incredible, because they might show other skills and be show other skills and aptitude that doesn't necessarily translate when you see it and you read it in the resume. Go for quality. Hiring the cheapest employee is short-sighted. So you might have an employee that a potential employee that would tell you, I would love to work for you, but this is what I was making at the other place, and someone that counter offers you. So can you meet me here? So, and it may not be the cheapest employee, but in the long run, you might find out that this is someone that you might actually that might benefit from working for you, and at the end, you're going to benefit from them working for you because they're motivated. Carefully define the role. Be specific about what you need. There's a lot of roles. If you're a job seeker yourself and you look at the jobs boards that are out there, the descriptions of these of the jobs are very ambiguous, and sometimes that's for a reason, because they're looking for someone that can be a jack of all trades, and not that that's a bad thing, But if you carefully define the role more, you'll get a more specialized person to do the things that you need to be done, and that you need them to be an expert or a good employee at one thing, but not necessarily do all kinds of different things, because ultimately, when someone's overstretched like that, they're not going to be a happy employee. And don't do the last man standing. So 82% of managers are not qualified. So this is something that don't hire the last person just because they were the last person to interview and everyone else found jobs. Try to be quick and nimble, but at the same time, just don't offer the first offer to anyone. So, but definitely don't wait to hire, because you know that you need to bring someone on board, or else you wouldn't be looking for a future employee. So try to find a good time frame where you can bring on board someone and to help them with the challenges that are going on in your small startup or in a corporation in a certain role. And then overvaluing smarts. Well, they fit in your, so overvaluing smarts is something that, so when a hiring manager, or maybe you see someone that went to great schools, they have a great great resume, so they're book smart, but maybe what your company needs is someone that's street smart as well. So, and having a little bit of both is great. And ultimately you want to see, is this person going to fit into your company culture? So they're going to be someone that is not only taking from you in regards to pay, but also contributing and also adding value and helping your company grow. So overvaluing smarts, think about that. Someone who went to the best schools in this country, not to say that they wouldn't be a great hire, but at the same time, could someone who maybe was great at sports, so who was a team leader, someone who contributed in different areas in the different things that they did in their life, that might be more of a greater asset that you need, because this is someone that can lead other people, which means that and when it comes to advancement, this is someone that could be a good manager, a good supervisor, and then a manager, and also be in charge take charge when you are not when you're not in the room. So compensation, try to find out what the industry standards are, and then also see if and also weigh the employee full-time employee versus a contractor, and then you'll get there in regards to knowing what is the proper pay and the compensation for someone that you're trying to bring on board. And then there's also the salary only or commission only. So is the job that you're offering, is it better off for it to be a commission only job? So which means, there's no payout for you, as a job, as a small business owner, which might be great. But then when this person does create a sale, just know that the payout then is going to be big, and sometimes a lot more than if this person was on salary. So things to consider, or a hybrid, a combination of salary and commission. And many jobs that traditionally were only commission only have gone to this hybrid way of salary and commission. And from studies, people are happy working in that type of environment. So they have the safety of a salary, but also the happy and the happiness that comes from a bump up when they do when sales do occur. And then the bonuses and the benefits, obviously, always state that up front. And this is also another added benefit for someone performing and then overperforming, because that's what you would want, essentially, if the person that you're hiring is to take on a sales role. Reviews are important because it gives them feedback, but they have to be timely. I think that giving someone a review half a year later or even a yearly review, it's pretty useless, in the sense of you're giving them, you're making them look back, but not necessarily giving the review in a time frame where they can take corrective measures so that if there's something that's not going the right way, that they can fix that. Or if this person is doing an exceptional job, don't wait until half a year or a year later to tell them, because by that time they might feel that they're not being appreciated and move on. So reviews are critical, but make them timely. Flexible schedules, I mean, that's another way of compensation, right? Giving people the freedom that they need because of the different the different situations that they have going on at home and in their life. Education. So a lot of employees will be looking for that. We'll be looking to subsidize education, higher education for them. And it may not always be, helping them get through school, right? Or paying for their, or going halfway with them on their college education. But it might be someone who, or master's or an MBA, but it might be someone who is looking to skill up, in which case they're looking for certifications, they're looking for vocational training. So all those things, something to consider as compensation to offer, because if they're learning these new skills, but these are new skills that they can that your potential new employee can implement while they're working for you. So in that case, you're not necessarily spending, but you're gaining something. Movement expenses, something to consider. If the job that you have that it needs someone that is specialized, that has specialized training, and you just can't find someone that has that expertise in your city or in your state, and you have to or just by having interviewed someone and you're like, I need to have that employee. And moving expenses, if you cover that for someone, you'll have definitely a happy employee and someone that is appreciative that you did that for them. So ultimately, you want these folks to be happy, and it shows that you care about them coming to work for you. That feeling is amazing, and they will repay that by their productivity to you. So more on compensation, check out Glassdoor or Salary, because there's so many things that are not here that could be used as compensation for a new employee, and also ways of negotiating when a potential new employer wants to has a counteroffer. So let's move on. So cheapest is not always the best. And here's an example: a job opening for $40,000 annual, and there's 2 applicants. Number 1 will accept the $40,000, but has little experience and will take 9 months to get going. And then number 2 wants $50,000, is well trained and experienced, will be effective immediately. So who do you hire? The $40,000 annual employee equals to $3,333 a month. Number 1, that first employer will cost you $69,997 annually to get the same level of productivity as employee number 2. And that's because of the training that is needed to get that person up to speed. So the $50,000 employee actually saves you nearly $20,000 in the first year. And not only that, because they're already trained and they know what they're doing and they can hit the ground running, could generate 100,000 plus in sales, because they can get there sooner than the employee number 1 who you have to train. So things to look at and weigh the pros and the cons when it comes to salary negotiation, but also pricing the job that you're looking for and making sure that you price it right so you get the right people that are applying for it. So job advertisements, and these are the basics. Make your opportunity unique and exciting. Job title and job description. The company, in regards to, you want to make it so this is a place that people are having fun at work. Obviously, at some places, you can't make it, you're not doing fun things, right? So it's not fun, but you can definitely talk about, the growth of the company, but also how you will grow yourself, because you're growing in your career, you're growing in your skills. So that will be appealing. So simple language, short sentences, those are always very much appreciated, especially because job seekers, they're looking at a lot of job postings. So the simpler that it can be read, the easier that I think someone will react positively react to your job opening and then apply. Obviously, put in there the job location because people want to know. There are, even nowadays, there's job locations that are ambiguous, and that also it doesn't shine a good light on your company. And that's not to say that this is for a remote job, right? Because if it's a remote job, then put it in a job description. It's a remote job. But if you don't put in the job location, then it makes it sound like, oh, okay, well, this employer or the position is not on the up and up, and it's more of a filler type that postings that are generated in jobs software boards. So you don't want your name attached to that. And also, if it's full or a part-time, people want to know that up front. Don't leave anything up to in ambiguity or up for them to guess. Just put it there. Travel required, that's important because that also lets them know how much time they're going to be away from perhaps their family. If these are folks, the person that you're trying to hire, if it's someone that's already enrolled in an MA in a master's degree program or an MBA, then they have to outweigh that, right? The travel requirements of the position that you're offering. The benefits, obviously, that's always important, and it's something that that should always be spelled out. Don't let the potential employee have to figure that out by interacting with you. Put it out there. Also, don't exaggerate. And there's obviously you read reviews from like Glassdoor and from former employees of a company, and they'll tell you who's a great employer and also who's not a good employer. But then sometimes it's somewhere in the middle, because sometimes it's someone who just wasn't happy at the company, and they express it on these jobs boards. So but don't exaggerate about your company, and don't exaggerate about the responsibilities as well. If the responsibilities are heavy, the decision making is heavy, let them know that, but also properly compensate the job for that. So cover letter requirements, always include a cover letter. And I always believe that even if you're someone who is applying for a position where you need a master's degree or an MBA, or some kind of specialized you have a specialized training, the cover letters are important, because that way, just how job postings can look sterile and can look like they're repetitive. The same thing with resumes, and a cover letter also says a little bit more about yourself, that's not included in the resume. So sometimes you have so much experience that you can't fit it in one page. So this way, by writing it in a story form, you're literally telling someone all the other things that you've done. So it turns your one-page resume into two, informally. And so if you're someone with quite a bit of experience, and this is your time to shine, when otherwise you would feel restricted to just put everything in one page. And that resume should always be one page. And also that employers, there's a statistic out by SHRM, Society of Human Resource Managers, that employers only look at a resume for 7 seconds. So, and this is at a big corporation. So yeah, the cover letter is important, but the resume also make it precise, and spend some time on it. If you haven't updated your resume in years, spend more than a weekend on it. And it's always an ongoing process to, maybe you volunteered somewhere. You always want to be updating the different things that you did, because you never know what's going to catch the eye of a hiring manager. So, or the owner of a small business. So those things are always important. And also look for other ideas by looking at other ads, but don't copy it. So your company is unique. You are unique. You are the person that you are. You offer the business, you offer the services and the products that you do because people are looking for them. So you're special and unique in that way. So definitely make it unique, but get ideas from, if you can, from other from competitors or companies that are selling something similar than you are selling. So what makes a great job advertisement? Great job posting. Job postings continue to improve, particularly as new methods of sharing open position information evolve. A few features that make a job posting great include media. Media is so important nowadays. You know, photos and videos of testimonials of employees that work for you and say, "Oh, hey, this is a great place to come work for." And you can tell when someone is, well, maybe not all the time, but if most of the people look happy, then it's like, yeah, then that's somewhere I want to go, and that's somewhere where I want to be employed at. So departmental content, so links to content about the different departments. So if your company excels in hiring diverse talent, definitely make that put that high and above what makes your company different than others, because there are the companies, people are looking to go work for companies that have diverse hiring practices, that hire diversity, and that care about diversity employees, but also diversity causes. So you'll get the best employees when you can connect with them. And so when it's something like when you have initiatives like that, show them off. You know, share those links as much as possible. And then employee reviews, testimonials, like I had mentioned before, from current and past employees describing their feeling about the job. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there with that, because it is going to be a way of getting of hiring new people. But you also don't know that there's an employee, if you're an established small business that left you, that might want to come back. So if they see that your place of employment, it's still a great place to work at, and then they left because of maybe they just needed more money, or a spouse moved to another part of the country, and they had to move too. So people don't always leave just because they're unhappy there. Sometimes, well, many times life happens, and those are the reasons why people move. But that doesn't mean that if life comes full circle again, that they might end up back in your city and being an employee for you. And so here's a recent posting, a snippet from McAfee, which is a cybersecurity software company. So company benefits and perks: we work hard to embrace diversity and inclusion and encourage everyone at McAfee to bring their authentic selves to work every day. We offer a variety of social programs, flexible work hours, and family-friendly benefits to all of our employees. And then they list, the things, the benefits that they consider, important to them. And so, this is just something that's short, sweet. Obviously, it doesn't tell you about the job description, but when it comes to the company, the overall company information, it's something that's concise, and it gets to the point, and then doesn't take up too much, doesn't take too much of that search time that people spend. So what are bad job ads? Bad job ads are ones with poor spelling and grammar. Someone didn't take the time to review it, to take a good look at it, or maybe take a second look at it. So if it's not full or part-time and it's not cleared, also, if you're a small business owner and you're on the fence, then create two ads. Create one for a full-time and then one for a part-time employee. But don't let someone who's thinking of going to work for you try to figure that out. Or also you not trying to, also you as a small business owner trying to figure that out. Do the math, do the assessment of exactly what you're looking for in an employee, so that way you know that you are in need of a full-time employee or a part-time employee. Company name missing. You'll see a lot of job postings that it's ambiguous, and ambiguity doesn't paint your company in a good light. And some companies, it might be because things that have happened to because of that company in the past, and they don't have the best reputation. So if you're a job seeker, keep an eye out for that. So you're lacking the benefits description, the skills that are required. You just don't say that you're a go-getter, but don't state that you need a go-getter. You have to list the skills that are required. Is this job temporary or a permanent job? The range, the jobs have a higher application rate when there's a job, or you don't necessarily have to state the exact amount, right? But the job range that's in consideration for that particular job. And then also here, is there a future for the person that's considering to come work for you? So that's important. So, and even if you're a small business owner, a future doesn't necessarily have to mean that, oh, you know what, you're gonna overtake me as the owner, in 5 or 10 years. But more of, we're giving you the flexibility that if you want to go and get a degree, you can do that. Or, if you're a musician and then you need some time to go and, and play your gigs and stuff like that. That means a lot to different people, right? People that have different passions beyond just working, a job that's full-time. There's people that have, or the people that have a side hustle, and you as an employer, if you're okay with that, then let them know that. So, because that's also a big plus. And let's continue. So looking for applicants. The best way to look for applicants is a referral from your employees. I think that they are the ones that are, and the companies that are the most successful at recruiting people are the ones who can get a referral from an employee, because they're the ones who already informally know something about this person when it comes to their work ethic, their behavior. Are they a team player? So those things that are important when it comes to recruitment. So jobs boards to look at: ZipRecruiter, Monster, Career Builder, Indeed. These really haven't changed in the last 10, 15 years, maybe more. But social media pages now are becoming more relevant. LinkedIn has become a monster now when it comes to recruitment, and many companies only recruiting through LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a big one to look at, and as a small business owner, to consider when placing your job posting there. Not everyone wants to work for a Fortune 500 company. A lot of people want to work for small companies because of maybe they've already done what they wanted to do, and now they're looking for a more relaxed environment. Doesn't necessarily mean they're looking for less responsibilities, but they're looking for a more relaxed environment, or maybe they're not looking for a full-time job, but for a part-time job. So if local newspaper websites still exist. So if your requirement for an employee is hyper local, then definitely look at those local newspaper websites, industry websites. So if you're looking for someone that has a specialization, then definitely look at posting at industry sites that those potential employees that you want to hire may belong to. So if you're hiring, nurses or dental assistants, or people that are mechanics, or people that work in HVAC. So there's definitely industry sites for those different industries. So those are good ways to good places to look at, and many times may be cheaper than some of these big national websites to post your opening at. Colleges, career centers, those are also a good place to look if the person who's going to fill that role that you're looking for could be a new graduate. Then definitely, by all means, go to your local community college or universities in your city. And all these, despite all the Indeeds and the LinkedIns of the world, they still have colleges and universities still have career centers. So and they're happy to help you out, and they're happy to work with you. And it's their job to help students get a job. So you'll have someone putting in extra work when you don't have the time to do so. So always important, and can be a money saver. personal contacts. So I ask around, you know, do you know someone who's looking for a job? Or hey, if there's a certain employee that you like from someone who not necessarily be a competitor, but maybe someone that works for a company that you've done business with and you haven't seen them around at that company, ask them, hey, what's this person doing? It's always good to hire good people, and they might have worked for a competitor of yours before or a supplier of yours before. So that's always a place to look at. I had mentioned trade schools, your competitors, and then recruiters. So there's always I would say, if you're a small business owner, you know, the recruiting, using a recruiter, the cost can be, you know, pretty high. So try all these different methods that I think you would be happily surprised that you would find someone that would fit the needs that your company needs when it comes to you know, that new hire, whether you're a startup or a established small business owner. And not to say that recruiters aren't bad, right? Because recruiters are heavily used when it comes to, you know, accounting and finance and these different technology. But maybe you don't need to spend out that type of money, and you'll find some good candidates by using the previous methods. And reviewing resumes. So is this person in your area? So the person that's applying, do they live in your area? You know, and that obviously that shortens down the the probability that that person won't make it to work because of the inclement weather or what have you. And again, read the cover letter. Does it make sense? You know, is it readable? And are they able to explain to you, you know, maybe gaps in their work history? Are they able to, you know, put forth the passion that they have for the job that they're applying for that obviously can't come through in that page of the resume, because the resume is, you know, pretty thorough when it comes to the information that they put on there. So education, special training come through in the resume. Obviously you want to see that. You want to see what this person has done, and you know, and it might be little things that you may not necessarily pick up on at first, but then you'll see that, oh, this person has had some special training. Maybe this will be relevant to the job. So not just because it wasn't in your industry or specific to your job function doesn't mean that the training that someone has isn't applicable to the things that to what your business does. So always kind of try to think outside of the box. Turnoffs when it comes to reviewing resumes, they're not up to date, they're poorly formatted, errors in grammar, spelling, bragging, rambling and confusing. I think if you've been in a position where you've hired people in the past, that happens, and dates don't match or they overlap. So, and those things need explanation, and you may not have the time to listen to that explanation if they didn't put it in the cover letter and let you know why that was the case. So interview preparation, just how a potential employee is preparing to apply for your job posting, you also have to prepare. So you have to schedule times for in-person interviews, get the applicant package together. So have something to offer, you know, and not, you know, say, hey, we're going to get back to you later with an offer, but have something that they can walk away with that tells them, you know, at least at a high level, you know, why they should come work for you. And also the different things that if you feel that this employee is someone that more than likely fits the profile of a potential employee of yours, you know, have something, even if it's a brochure, that explains why people are happy to work for you and why your place of employment is a happy and a great place to go work for. Always explain a brief company history in the background, because a lot of that may not even be explained in a company's website. So, and that might be of interest to the person who is applying for the position that you're offering, but also it says more about your company, and then you're just not like all the others. So it adds uniqueness, and also it makes it, it shows people that what you're doing is special, especially if it's a family-owned business or a business that's been passed down through your family through generations. Then it's something that it makes people feel that, oh, okay, I'm going to work for a place where people care, at least at least it appears, that people care about family. They care about the different things that that you might have that you might have as a high priority when you're looking for an employer. And then the different things that go on, the role playing and the testing. And this might be just because it's required that you have to do testing. And these are, if you're hiring people that have that will be doing a specialized job, then obviously you want to know where their skill level is at and it's something that they can tell you something on their resume, but you really wouldn't know unless they get tested. And it might be something that you have to, or if it's something that if it's something that's that is regulated or overseen by the state or the federal government, then obviously there's that time where you have to look for testing sites, or if something that they have to do online, then when is the next time that they can take that particular test. So the types of interviews: phone, old school, face-to-face, old school too, Zoom, Teams, etc. I've experienced that, boomers and they are uncomfortable with Zoom, but I think that they will find their way there. But the younger generations definitely are actually now even expect to be that first interview to be on Zoom or to be on Teams. So it's something that they don't shy away from. It's actually they just feel that's how it's going to happen, and especially because of the pandemic they just went through. That was the only way to interview. So also a group. So, and this is always the people that would be that the person you're potentially going to hire, they're going to report to, and that whatever they do, they're going to be supervised by these folks. But never make it so that, and I've seen employers do this where it's a panel of people, and it's like they're just trying to find a crack on the when it comes to the abilities of the person who you're trying to hire. Don't make it difficult. Don't make it. They're already nervous. That person's already nervous and probably stressed. When it comes to the job interview process, and your interview may not be the first one that they've gone to. So in which case, don't do something that's not necessary. But again, there might be something where stress scenarios where that might be something where it's needed. So what would you do in this type of scenario? And their response is something that plays heavily on your list of what you're looking for in a potential employee. And also informal. I've seen people that have gotten hired with six-figure jobs through informal job interviews, maybe at a coffee house. And obviously all the other things still have are in play, like the background check and everything. But that informal interview, how do you relate to people? How's your conversation skills? Are you likable? All those things are extremely important. That's another way of interviewing someone that would that's applying for a sales role, perhaps in your company, or where personality, someone that's just not sitting in a cubicle and behind a computer all the time, that are crucial for that position. Interview questions to ask. So what do you know about the company or the job? So these are good questions to ask, right? Because they should have done their homework. The person who's applying should have done their homework. And so this will let you know how badly they want to work for you, but also how diligent they are in their research, because this might be important to the role that they're going to be playing working for you. Why do you want to work? Why do you want to work here? So that's not a difficult question to ask, why, and that should have came clear in your job description, and they'll let you know, oh, it's because in your job description, you said that there was flexibility for people like me who are, who like to side hustle. So that might be something important, and that way that this is why that person was attracted to the job that you posted. And it's always good to ask. You shouldn't ask why you left your last job directly, but I think people open up and tell you that. But it's good to ask, why did you enjoy your last job, or what did you enjoy least about your last job? Because that way they will give you more insight that you're looking for, but not directly going and asking that question. What skills do you have to help you in this job? That, I think, when someone opens up and tells you, they will tell you first the things that they are great at. I always feel that that's the case. So, and it's also like minimizing, minimizing those areas where someone might exaggerate their skill set. But I think when you ask them this question, they'll tell you right away, well, this is what I'm good at. And I think I think more than likely they're being truthful when they tell you, when you ask them this question and they reveal to you the things that they feel are the skills that they're good at. And what is your biggest accomplishment professionally? Good question to ask, because that lets you know what is the one thing that they're the proudest of as of that time. And then from there, it's like, you have an insight in this person, and also, reflect on it, and also let them know, hey, working here, we can build on that. This is an interview question that's asked a lot. What is your biggest failure? And I can see the relevance of this question 10, 15 years, and it's still being used today. But I think that, it makes people ponder into something that it's probably not something that's pleasant. And I think there's a way of going about it so that, you can, asking more of what was challenging in your life, and how did you come above from that, and how did you conquer that and move forward. So, so there's definitely different ways of stating that question, but I actually just saw that question last week, and that's why I put it in here. And so again, and what is the biggest misperception people have of you? This is a good question, because they'll open up and let you know certain things about them that probably not everyone knows. So, it could be someone who dresses a different part, but they don't know that this person has, loves, heavy metal, and then your potential employee, likes heavy metal. So, music. So there's a lot of things that people will tell you that just from how you're perceived or you're looked at doesn't necessarily describe or define what the things that you're passionate about are. Like volunteerism, for that matter. People may not know that about you, and it may not come across, but those can be those misperceptions that you'll be happy to learn about your potential new employee. So here are questions that you can't ask. You can't ask nationality, religion, age, marital and family status, gender, health and physical abilities, the length of commute, unless they disclose it, right? But you can't ask that. Where do they live? Were they honorably discharged, or if they're a member of the National Guard? And then questions that you might be asked. So just how the people that you're interviewing, they're going to interview you, right? So how long was the last person on the job? So if there was someone that had the job before this person that you're considering, they're going to want to know how long were they on there. So they're, and it's good information for them to have, right? And be truthful, be honest and truthful when it comes to why that person left. And then, and it might have been an amicable parting of ways, in which case nothing, no harm done. What do you like most about working for this company? So if you're in, this is more if you're a supervisor or a manager at a big corporation, but it also it's something good for a potential employee to ask of a small business owner. It's like, why do you like doing what you do here? Why did you start this business? So because it may not, it might be that it may not be apparent right away why you are passionate about something. It might have been a business that was that you didn't necessarily see yourself being in, but it was handed down from your family through generations. In which case, it's your passions were something else, but you found happiness in working for the family business. So people knowing that type of history, and also them knowing the sacrifices that you've done so that you could keep your employees, so that you have a profitable business. Those little pieces of information are important to a potential new hire, because that also shows, what do you place importance on when it comes to employing someone. Also, what are the challenges of this position? That might be a question that you're going to be asked as the owner of a small business or an employer, and be open and honest about that. You don't want the person to find that out once they're 3 months into the job, and then they're going to become one of those statistics of people that are looking for the next job, and then they won't be entirely there because they're already searching for the next place to go. So I think if you're open to and open and disclose, and it may not be a bad thing. It may just be something that they know that with this new job comes bigger responsibilities that they had before. So it's not always a bad thing. Where do you see this position going in the next few years? So again, if you're a small business owner, letting that potential future employee know that I'm planning to expand this business. I'm planning to grow. I'm planning to open more locations, in which case there's a possibility of a supervisor role, of a territory, position. So a regional or whatever it might be. So, letting someone know that if you're a small business, and then you're also thinking, well, why would this person come to work for me? Because, they could go work for a Fortune 500 company or something. There's things that are of intrinsic value that may not be apparent to you, but it will to the future employee, because they're looking also for those things. And like I had mentioned before, not everyone wants to go work for a Fortune 500 company. And I know many people who have worked and have retired from working at small businesses and are happy as can be, and you cannot be more happy of what they accomplished and what their accomplishments in their life when it came to their career. So everyone's looking for different things for different reasons. So checking references, something that's very important. Don't take people for the word. And the reason I say that, even though you want to, is that over 40% of resumes contain false information. So that's close to half. So checking people's resumes is super important. And start and stop dates, salary, education, all those things verified. This might be something that again, as a small business owner, might take too much time, but there's definitely services out there that can do that for you, and can do a diligent job of making sure that this person is who they say they are on paper. And also ask the applicant, what type of references could we expect of you? This will also help you when it comes to knowing a little bit more about this person, and getting you ready, right, for what you might hear. And not that it's going to be a bad thing, but knowing more about the employee ahead of time. So again, stressing, always check references and that credit check. It's pretty much it's standard now for any Fortune 500 company to check your credits. And as a small business owner, that might be something that you also might be heavily inclined to do, just because it says something about the responsibility of the person. Doesn't paint the whole picture of the employee, but it paints a part of the picture. So Credit checks are a common practice, and actually for someone that's applying to you, they know that. So don't be afraid to do it. The second interview. So there's, before going into the second interview, check Facebook, Google, and other sites. In certain states, they're trying to ban that from a potential employer from looking into the social media history of a potential future employees. But I think that as long as you can do it, it tells you what the person who you're looking to hire or is applying to for your job opening, it tells you what they spend their free time on and what they value and the things that they consider important. All of that comes through on the things that they do on their spare time. And more than likely, they're going to be posting it on those social media sites. And did they send you a thank you letter after the first interview? It's just courteous. It's something that if it's something that you would do, then you would expect it in return. So I think it's a nice professional touch. And it's something that in this busy world, we tend to forget those things, but it shows class. And it shows that you have respect for people's time, the time that they took to interview you and to have this conversation with you. And ultimately, it also shows that this person wants to work for you. So they want to put their best foot forward and make an impression on you. Ask, what if present employer makes a counter offer? I think this is an area where I always say that you can end up losing in this area. So, the person that they were working for before, I always feel that they should have been in touch with this employee and what their situation was. So there wouldn't have been a reason to do a counteroffer. And I just spoke to a young lady last week who left her employer of 12 years. And the employer, not a Fortune 500 company, but a Fortune 1000 company, but totally in shock that this young lady left that job. It was her first job out of college, and he spent 12 years there, and actually very vital to the company. And they gave her modest pay raises. So, but she got passed up for promotions. And not only that, but she wasn't looked at or favored for certain roles that she felt that she could fill. So yeah, it's not always money. And in this case, it was upward mobility, and she just didn't find it there. So again, I think this is something that, because ultimately if a company is bigger than what you have to offer, you also don't want to be overpaying for, and also you want someone that really wants to go work for you and that wants to be part of something special. And you being a small business owner, I think you are someone special, and what you have to offer is special. And what you're doing with your company, that possibility of growing it and expanding it, you want someone that wants to be there for that journey to work for you. Let's see. Never be the only interviewer. You always want, two set of eyes on a resume, but also on interviewing this person, and that other person should be the person that they're going to be reporting to if it's not you. And so this is important. You want to find out, is this person easy to get along with? Can depending on, and you'll know just from knowing the type of people that work in your company, in your small business. Okay, this person has this type of personality, this person has that type of personality, but can this person, play nice with two types of different people? But all three people, their mindset is that, we want to grow sales. We want to, put our best foot forward when we start working, when we start the day at work. So those kind of things are those values are really important. And that comes across, and that way someone might pick up something that you overlooked. So don't hire the best of the worst. I think, again, and that might happen because you took too long in getting back to people when they submitted resumes, or you might be too picky. And that's subjective, right? But sometimes we're looking for the perfect hire, but we don't realize that some people that had applied have skills that can be easily applied to your job, and that person can be a great hire if you only looked outside of the box. So hire for 30 or 60 trial period. I see this a lot more now, is that those 90-day trial periods, they're kind of going away, and that's because it's hard to find right in this day. It's hard to find employees. So with that, companies are adjusting in regards to how they hire, who they hire, and also they're adjusting to the realities of what is hiring people after the pandemic. And lastly, don't hire somebody that you feel sorry for. Don't let emotions get in the way of the hiring process, because this might turn out to be something that will be a consequence that you'll have, that will have a bad experience when it comes down in the future. Training. I don't know how, am I going a little bit too long here? Will we have time for the question and answer, or do you want me to keep going?
You could go about another minute or so, and then let's
Okay.
start the questions if you don't mind.
No, not at all. So training, what if I train them and they leave? So what if you don't and they stay? Warning signs, new hire that's not working out. So even though you train them and everything, just things are not working out, and that's it happens, unfortunately. So different steps to take. So sit down with the employee privately, explain how their actions affect the company and the coworkers, offer suggestions on how to improve. And this might be something that can easily just be handled by that action. They want to be listened to, and they, up to this point, they might feel that they weren't being listened to. So it might be something that the correct measure might be as simple as that. Ask if there are reasons for the problems and if they wish to discuss. So kind of same thing as that had mentioned. Engage employee on how to solve issues. So provide, be aware, be alert of the things that are going on, because other employees will tell you if there's a bad apple. But be aware of have kind of do your homework ahead of time, and maybe there's things that can with some relative ease solve the issues that are going on with this employee. And then from there, give them a time frame, 7 to 21 days, that, hey, you know what, let's change things. Let's see if we can, go on a different path, and let's work on the things that we talked about today. So have them sign a statement. So hold them to it, because you definitely do not want a toxic work environment. That's not good for anyone. And so have them sign that. And no improvement in 7 to 21 days, sit down again, make that the final warning. And then after that, I think if it escalates to that point, that the steps that are needed to take, and that this employee was someone that just it didn't work out, and it's time to start the search for someone that will come in and will be a team player and that will fit the company culture of your small business. Training a new employee, be selective on who does training. Make one person overall responsible, and maybe even on a buddy system. So prepare for the overall picture, explain thoroughly, break it down into key parts and steps, the procedures of coming on board, the different, the everything that's particular to your job, the procedures, how, the run of day, how does a day look like working there. So all those things are important to relate to the new employee. Also, the tasks that are require them to be performed. So review, provide honest evaluation, and helpful constructive criticism. This is important because unless they won't know if they're doing the job right, unless you tell them. So, early on, if you see that they're struggling, be involved, and be involved and give them feedback. Make it constructive criticism, but don't make it criticism. And I think that if that employee, if they can correct those measures, then you can happily both move forward. And also measure the new employee performance. So again, and that could be, something that, like I had mentioned, that if they're lacking or if something's not, just not right, let them know ahead of time so these corrective measures can take place. But also, if they're doing an outstanding job, let them know 3 months, in a quarter, let them know. I think letting them half a year or a year later, it's too late. Let them know that they're doing a great job, and that you're appreciative of them working for you. So the more praise that an employee gets, the happier they are to work there, and the more they feel appreciated. Motivating employees. So set the tone of your company, create the vision and the mission, set goals routinely, be consistent, communications, build a team, maintain high morale, encourage friendly competition, allow staff to utilize their strengths, give staff freedom, create an environment where the staff feels free to speak up, and then lead by example. Success breeds success. So, I've walked into workplaces where they have, those inspirational posters everywhere and framed, but, it's a toxic work environment, and people, they just can't wait for the clock to turn 5 so that they can leave. And so, walk the talk, and lead by example. Make the work environment a place where people want to show up at every day and put their best foot forward. And sometimes you just have to ask employees, because many times they won't tell you. And these might be corrective measures that you might have to spend a little money on or a lot of money on. But I think at the end of the day, you come out ahead, and you have employees that you won't lose them to your competition, or you won't lose them to just wanting to quit your wanting to quit your place of employment, and then you're left suddenly with having a role to fill. And like we had stated before in the beginning, that cost can be easily $40,000 to $60,000 to the cost of losing an employee. So in summary, hire smart, train effectively, inspire and reward, allow freedom to succeed, and then measure and review. I think if, this was kind of quick and a high level, but these I think are the most important points when it comes to either you're a small business or a Fortune 500 or a bigger or a Fortune 1000 company. If you're be intentional about what you're doing. Don't leave anything to ambiguity. Train people so that they're doing the job correctly, the way that you expect it to be done. And then inspire and reward people. That goes a long way when it comes to employee retention. Inspire and reward, and do it monetarily, but also do it by giving them, praise. All those things are very important, and letting them know how critical they are to your team. So allow freedom to succeed. And obviously this is, depending on the role, sometimes you can't allow people to have too much freedom, right? Like if it's in finance, everything has to be by the book, and everything, and there's standards, and, on the state and the federal level, things that you just really can't do that, right? But when there are jobs where people can use their creativity, you'd be surprised how people can turn that creativity to benefit your company. And then measure and review. Keep measurement of the performance of this employee, but also review what they're doing. And again, if your review turns up that this person, has had a stellar 3 months of sales or just contribution, let them know that, and let them know of the little things and the big things that they're doing, because in doing so, you're gonna have a happy employee and someone that you won't have to replace. Thank you so much for spending this time this afternoon with me. and for joining SCORE and BACP. And I hope you learned something from today's presentation. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Alfonso. Wow, we're getting rave reviews in the chat right now. They've been happening throughout the whole thing. So it's definitely been a great webinar, lots of good information. We're going to try to do at least 5 to 7 minutes of questions, if that's okay. Alfonso, I'd hate to keep you that long. People are asking right off the bat, can they have a copy of the presentation? That's something we can talk about internally. Don't forget the webinar was recorded and will be posted at www.youtube.com/Chicago BACP, and I will put that in the chat as well. So one of the first question is also, is it illegal to ask for salary history in Illinois? So you could discuss salary, but can you discuss salary history?
It's not illegal if they're open to discuss it.
Okay.
So if they bring it up, then it's fair game.
Okay. Are overlapping job dates suspicious?
Again, when I had mentioned that in that cover letter, that's a great place to explain it, and that way it's off the table, right? It's something that it may be something that's not even questionable by your future potential employer. So, but yeah, definitely, if there's explanation that needs to be done, without having to get too technical or too into it, if you can do it in your cover letter, then you could say that, you know what, it could have been because, again, like I had mentioned, spouse, I found love, I got married, moved across the country. Then you're gonna find gaps and overlapping dates because while I was doing that, I also had a moonlight and maybe I was bartending, or I was doing something where I needed 2 jobs at that point, at that specific time.
Okay, great. How invasive, illegal does reviewing social media of potential employees become?
Not at all. I mean, I don't think it is. I mean, as long as you don't think you're hiring a private detective to do it, but you'd be surprised. It's a pretty common practice now. That's done, and especially the higher the salary, the more they do it. And specifically because of the sensitive information that that employers are entrusting with their employees, is this something that's going to get leaked out? And also, with all these things that happen with with mass shootings and people that are disgruntled employees, I think you'd be hard pressed to find anyone in law enforcement or anyone that that in psychology or psychiatry that would say this person wasn't showing signs of that. They kind of were when it comes to social media and there's different outlets where they express these things. So, and I'm not an expert on that, but from being around it, being around HR and people who end up getting terminated, and also when there's mediation when it comes to someone's termination, there's usually signs that person was not happy, or that there was issues between employees. Usually 2 employees, but maybe a group of employees, and no one would say anything, but and they wouldn't let you know that there was going on. But unfortunately, there's tons of examples of how that has happened across the country, where then someone comes to the workplace and does the unspeakable.
Great.
And Alfonso and Geraldine, there's, on a positive note, social media is actually where you can shine too. You could find employees that are so involved in leadership roles in communities. So it could be a positive as well, depending on what content is out there.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And one of those things is, if you have a work environment where it's pet friendly, that's a big plus. That's a big plus. And especially if you need someone to work overtime, they'll happily work overtime if their dog is with them. So things like that, it can definitely be a big plus. So it just depends on how you use it. So, but again, it's, don't be a private eye about it. But I think people will, and I think this is something that it's a preventative measure that you're taking. because, if you're a small business, you don't have the big money that it takes to, also invest, $40 or $60,000 to again hire someone new.
Great. We're going to have enough time for 2 more questions. How do you handle background checks? If you do it for one, are you required to do it for all? Is it the expectation that the employer, if making an offer at that point to offer to do it for a prospective employee? So just more of a question about background checks.
My impression about background checks is to always do it. Always do it, because you'd be surprised if there's something in your background that, as long that it doesn't prevent you from applying for a job, that someone can relate and someone can be understanding of what is in there. But you definitely don't want to be in a situation where something is discovered later, because that definitely first of all, the employer won't trust you, because you lied, you lied about, what, you could have lied about something in your resume, and that there might be a time gap in your resume because of something that's in your background check. So I think if you're honest, that's going to go a long way. But definitely don't disclose certain things, or don't, because you feel like, oh, it's going to make me look bad. And also, in a background check, if it's a company that is diligent in what they do, it's going to turn up. So and so an employer, I think it would be wrong for them not to do a background check if they're just trying to save money on the cost of that. They should do it.
Okay, great. Last question. Any suggestions for beginning company without a lot of money? What is the biggest bang for your buck? Delegation of first role.
If they already hired someone?
It just says a beginning company. So I guess it would just be whatever they need the most.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a startup and they're looking for employees, and it's a role that someone can be trained for that role, I always think go to your local community college or university and use their career center. I think they're a super valuable resource, and for the most part, they don't charge you anything. So so they scour all the resumes of all the upcoming graduates, so that so that it saves you time, and that way they hand you a dozen resumes, or maybe 24 resumes of people who they feel. And not only that, but these people have been doing that for a long time. So it's almost like they're a recruiter, but they're being paid for by the university.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Alfonso. It's been a fantastic presentation. Hannah, as always, thank you. Thank you to SCORE, and Toma, you too. This will be posted again on www.youtube.com/Chicago BACP. And this is just one of the first webinars in our HR series. So please look at www.chicago.gov/business education for the 2 next webinars in the series. Again, everyone have a great night. Thank you so much. Hannah, any closing words?
It's all good. I just want to thank you, Gerald and Alfonso. Excellent presentation, because we know that our people are our greatest asset. So doing hiring and retention right can really save companies lots of time, frustration, and money. So thank you so much. And to those of you who are needing mentoring, remember, you're not alone. The City of Chicago, BACP, and SCORE Chicago, we're all here to support you. So please stay connected with us. Like Geraldine said, keep attending these webinars and really schedule that appointment with your mentors. They can be scheduled at chicago.score.org, and they are free and confidential. Until then, hope to connect with all of you again, and stay safe and well.